What I want to do is just to share about the Indonesia situation in terms of the regulation regarding with the children, protection the child, and also the journalism code of ethics, and also principle that we applied for covering the children. I would like to start with the violence on children, the increasing case trend. I took the data from Indonesia Commission for Child Protection. In 2008, there was 1,726 report on violence against children handled by the Commission, and the trend is increased. On May 2010, there is about 1,826 cases, and I believe that based on the coverage in the media that we monitor, that the current situation is even worse. So the data should be bigger. And this is the Law 23/2002 on child protection. In Article 2, it is stated that the implementation of the protection for children is based on principle of the Pancasila, this is Indonesia philosophy, and on the Constitution 1945, as well as the basic principle of the Convention on the Rights of the Children, which cover non-discrimination, prioritizing what's the best for the children, the right to life, to perpetuation of life, and to development, and respect for the opinion and the child. I think because this is drawn by the Constitution, so meaning that this is also bonded for all the citizens, including journalists. On the Article 24, the state and government guarantee that the child can use his or her right to convey his/her opinion in accordance with the child age and the level of intelligence of education. It's too little. Don't bother to try to read it, because I myself -7 too. So this is about the Indonesia Country Report on Welfare and the Protection of the Children. I just want to highlight that there are a lot of problems. For example, 3 million children working potential occupation, at least 30% of female sex workers in Indonesia under 18 years of age, with children as young as 10 years old are forced into prostitution. So all this situation is become the object of media coverage, included the latest data from Indonesia Commission for Child Protection. More than 7,000 juveniles are in detention facilities and prison across the nation. More than 85% of Indonesia children who are brought to court for crimes are sentenced to prison. The other issue of concern is the spatial vulnerability of the children and, of course, women in conflict of disaster-affected communities, including more than 2,000 children left parentless and many more psychological affected after the tsunami that struck Aceh in 2004 December and North Sumatra on December 26. For children who are exposed to natural disaster, Indonesia government established Children's Center to provide better protection for children who are victims. And according to UN World Feed for Children report in 2006, the government developed a children-friendly village, the program, in 50 villages in Aceh. I just checked it last week that almost all of these friendly village children village was already disappears, while so many children still have a problem there. I think this should be one of the interesting coverage for the media, who recently busy to cover political issue that sometimes not really related with the public, because it's more to sensationalism and to the political party or political figure interest. The special protection got more media attention based on the case reported. I can say that I can share that the government guarantee the rights of all children. I read the code of ethics and the regulation in Filipina, which is for me is quite detailed and good. I want to know exactly what about the implementation in the field, how the government and the media implement the protection for the child in their coverage, because Indonesia has a quite good regulation too, but we are facing a bad implementation in the field. For example, like we have only 16 children present in 33 provinces. It means that a lot of children who have to deal with the law are forced to share the room with the adult crimes and really prone to the violence too, because sometimes they have to share, for example, the same room with the drug, and become even more expert after spend a few years in the prison. So this is also the other problem. Antv produced the documentary that won the award included in Asia Pacific level about the drug usage in the prison, that also involve the children too. And the second part of my sharing is about the Indonesian media landscape. So that's from the problem that happened to the children in Indonesia, and then this is the Indonesia media landscape. We call it a half-free press. Why? Because in the last 3 years, I think the rank of Indonesia in the world press freedom is always decreased due to so many violence against the journalists. In the last year, 2010, 3 fellow journalists from Indonesia killed in a conflict, communal conflict, and also because he covered the story that related with corruption in the local government. The print media within 2 years after the press law, 1999, numbers has grown from less than 300 print media in operation in early 1999 to 2,000. Market realities resulted in the majority of them going out of business soon after they were established, but the trend for establishing print media nevertheless continues, and the data confirm just over 952 print media in operation as of the end of last year. This is the data from the Press Council, because one of the tasks of the Press Council is also to document the current situation of the media in Indonesia, including the data. But the local politics boosts the new player each year for about 250 to 270 newspapers. The Indonesia Press Law in 1999 opening opportunity for everybody to start publishing the media without license from the Ministry of Information, like in the past under former President Suharto regime. For the radio has penetration to almost 100% in Indonesia total population, 237 million. Today is over listener a wide variety of content, and ownership is similarly diverse. Of the estimate 2,500 local radio stations across the archipelago, up from around 700 in Suharto era, around 480 are community stations. Approximately 60 are stations that are part of state radio network or Radio Republik Indonesia, and another 60 are local government owned, leaving approximately 2,000 privately owned stations. What about television? Television is about 90% penetration to the Indonesia population, and as stated by Yuli, my colleagues, it's become one of the most, I think, the powerful medium for the flow of information. The television before May 1998, during the reform era, there were only 6 TV stations, 5 of them private and 1 of the state-owned Televisi Republik Indonesia, all of which were owned by relatives of then president or his close associates. Today, at the national level, there are 10 national terrestrial television channels owned by large companies. And the association, I become the chair of the association, TVRI, and a growing number of cable and satellite providers. With digitalization destined to further expand the choice of offer, and within just 7 years after the ending of prohibition of local television, the number of stations had multiplied to 65. Today, local station number over 250, and ownership is varied. Some offer programs that incorporated not only local news but also debates on the working of local government. Fewer participation in such discussion is often encouraged, and some local television stations are also making effort to investigate corruption, environmental degradation, and other topics of public concern, including covering children. But I must say that I think according to Indonesia Alliance of Journalists survey in 2006, the media is not really pay attention and give a room to cover the children. So it's like only 40% of the media who become the respondent of Indonesia Alliance of Journalism give about like 10% allocation in their duration for the broadcast, or in the space for pages for the print media is publishing about the children. That's why I think they start to make the annual award for the media who make a good coverage on the children, just to encourage the media to pay more attention to the children. The internet, I think Indonesia is really booming in using the development of the internet. In 1998, there were only 134,000 subscribers and 512,000 users. By 2010, the number had jumped to 2 million and 25 million respectively. And now I think the internet user in Indonesia is about 45 million, and that also boosts the development of social media account and or user in Indonesia. We are number 2 in Facebook after United States. There is almost 50 million Facebook user in Indonesia, and for Twitter we are number 3 with 7 million Twitter account, or number 1 in Asia. So we are the Twitter capital Asia. And for blog, we are now have like 4 million bloggers. So the blog is really active. The citizen journalists flourish very well, and a lot of provinces and included in Ambon, I think, have their blogger community that could also become the complementing and also become the correction to the media, mainstream media or traditional media coverage. The press regulation, we have free press, but like I said, now we feel that we are only in half free because so many journalists under the threat. And press law provides for protection for the press freedom in several places based on sovereignty of the people, as well as democracy, justice, and human rights. And for broadcast, we also have, even though the press law also cover the journalistic product, but also we have broadcast law number 32 in 2002, which regulating broadcast industry, including the content and also the journalistic content. Okay, let me skip that. And now, based on that too, the problem that facing by the children in Indonesia and the situation about the development of media in Indonesia, then what is the challenge of media covering children? The freedom of expression versus the rights of children protected from privacy and journalism ethic violation, that's, I think, the biggest challenge. Reform brings 100 new media organizations, 1,000 journalists, Indonesia has about 30,000 journalists, and 80% of them have not understand the code of ethics. That's why now Press Council work very hard. I travel every week to many provinces, and also my colleagues in Press Council to conduct training. And our target for this year, 2011, is to train the minimum knowledge about code of ethics and the press law to about 5,000 journalists, still far from 30,000 journalists that we have. Not to mention that in every year, every month, there are so many newcomers that need to be trained, included in Ambon for the peace journalism way to govern. During the riots, the recent riots, September 11, 2011, compare with the Ambon conflict. I use the riot because this is not, the current one is not, the recent one is not as big as before. It's 3 people killed compared with hundreds in 1999 as stated by Yuri. But the way the media cover the conflict is far more better. To answer the question from the colleagues from Malaysia, now there is no media acting like before. I mean, try to voices from both sides, from Christian and then from the Muslim. No. All the media with all their, I mean, of course there is no 100% excellent, but far more better. There is assessment from Press Council. They apply peace journalism. They are afraid. They feel that if they report to the public like the way they report to the public in 1999, so they are the one who become the victim from the social economic condition. The investor feel that Ambon is not safe, so the economic development will affect it. So that's the case now. And I think 2 weeks after the September 11 riots, Press Council together with Indonesia ICRC, Sony is here, we were doing training in peace of journalism, media safety, and humanitarian law to journalists in Ambon. But why they need it, even though they already have the peace journalism training after the 1999? Because like I said, there are a lot of newcomers in the last 10 years. So I believe that based on the Ambon case, and also yesterday I mentioned I was together with Caroline in 7 ASEAN European Interfaith Dialogue. Based on that, our experience and also what happened, how the media covered the Oslo mass killing, while at the first time they say that the one that doing that is the people that related with Al Qaeda, and then it's not really. But even though in Norway, in Scandinavian country, that in the world of press freedom ranked as the highest, as very advanced in the media, they are like what I mean, like. There is a threat to violate the code of ethics in that kind of situation. So I want to say that the training should become the process that not ended only when the conflict happened, but should conduct continuously, included in train how the journalists cover the children. This is the approach that we share in Press Council to share or doing training for the journalists to cover the children. We are using mostly the ICRC guideline for journalists. We can read it easily in the internet, putting children in the right. And then this is the article in Indonesia Journalist Code of Ethics that stressing how important to to put the children interest on the highest place among others during the coverage, protecting them, privacy, confidentiality. That's the universal principle in covering the children. For example, in Article 5, the Indonesian journalist does not disclose and broadcast the identity. I mean, we know that. But like I said, 80% of Indonesian journalists not reading the code of ethics. So that's create the problem. Yeah. And also in broadcast law, because using the public domain, the code of ethics is even more detailed. I want to end this sharing with say that covering children from violence to privacy violation case become weekly assignment for Indonesian journalists. Applying highly standard of journalism on stories related with the children will bring benefit not only for the children and the future of the nation, but also one of the important elements of journalism, promoting the right of the voiceless. And the right to freedom of expression is always important to media professional, but has to be balanced against other important rights, most notably the right to child, the right for children to freedom from fear and exploitation. And I think in the coming years, two things that really become the focus of the training that will conduct by the Press Council in Indonesia due to the situation in Indonesia is, one is the how to report the conflict, because before we feel that we only need to train the journalists that live in the conflict-prone area like Ambon, Poso, Kalimantan, but now or Aceh. But now we realize that we need to train with all of them in any area, even in Jakarta, the capital city. They need to know better about how to cover the conflict. And the second thing is about how to cover the children, because children problem is really big, and the media is, you know, sometimes is not really pay attention how to cover the children stories according to code of conduct. So this is some of the things that I want to share to you. Thank you.